All right, so now we're going to continue on with Unit 2B. So it says, when given numbers in decimal and or fraction form, you can order them correctly from, or it says, can you order them correctly from smallest to largest? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to order and compare decimals and fractions, which simply means we want to know the value of them compared to another decimal or fraction. So when we have decimals, you want to line up place values on top of one another. So we're going to take the first number, 0.042. We're going to place the other numbers compared, we want to order them where the decimal lines up. All right, so we want to know what is the smallest number to the largest number. So the first thing you're going to do is, for decimals, you always compare place values. So in the ones place, we see that they're all are 0 in the ones place, so that means they're equal. So now we go to the tenths place. Well, 0 tenths is always going to be smaller than 4 tenths. So since this place value is 0 and these are 4s, that means that this is the smallest number. So this is going to be in first place because we're going to order them from least to greatest. So that's the smallest number. Now, since the 4s match, they're both 4 tenths, then we compare the hundredths place. So 2 hundredths is greater than 0 hundredths. So the third number is in the middle, and the largest number is the second. This middle number is the largest number, okay? So when we order them, so just write them in order. So we have 0.042 is the least, 0.402 is in second place, and the largest number is 420. All right, now look at letter B. We have 2 decimals and 1 fraction. So when you're ordering numbers, you want them all in the same format, or you want them all to look the same. Since we have 2 decimals, we'll go ahead and write 11/15 as a decimal. So all we're going to do in our calculators, we're going to divide 11 by 15, and that's 0.7333. So I'm going to rewrite the middle number as 1.7333, and it continues on. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line up our decimals. So the first number is 1.73. Our second number, which was the fraction, is 1.733, and it goes on. So let's say I want the same number of digits. So going back to the first number, if I add a digit, the only thing I can add is a 0. And I could add an infinite number of zeros, and it's not going to change the value of this number. And then finally, 1.7. Now, if I want both of these to have 2 more digits, I'm going to add 2 more zeros. So now we want the smallest number. So the ones place all match. So now we're going to compare the tenths place. They match. Now we go to the hundredths place. So this 0 is going to be, this third number is smaller than the other 2 because the hundredths place is the smallest digit. So the smallest number, I'll go ahead and start ordering it. Oops, 1.7 is what I meant to write. So our smallest number is 1.7, and I can get rid of that. I'm going to mark that off. I'm done with that one. All right, so then, since the tenths place of these 2 numbers are the same, we're going to go to the thousandths place. Well, 0 thousandths is less than 3 thousandths. So that means the first number right here is in second place. So in second place, we have 1.73, and we'll mark it off here, mark it off here. So obviously, the biggest number is our 1.733, which is our fraction. So we're going to put it back in its original form, or it's a mixed number, I should say. All right, and we have ordered those numbers from least to greatest. All right, so we have a few more. Let me get rid of all these markings here. So now we're going to compare them using greater than, less than, or equal to. Now I told you in our first unit that if you're comparing two fractions, the easiest way to do that is to cross multiply from bottom to top. So we have that choice. We could write these decimals as fractions. We can always do that. So for example, this number right here is 3/10. So we're comparing 3/10 and 1/3. We could cross multiply bottom to top. So 3 times 3 is 9. Oops, 9. And 1 times 10 is 10, which we already know that this number, oops, the first number is less than the second number. Now let's say we didn't want to turn that into a fraction. We just want to turn our fraction into a decimal. So we could divide 1 by 3. And 1 divided by 3 is 0.333, and it goes on and on and on. So if we wanted to compare, line up our decimals, well, the only numbers we could add to the top one, or the one on the left, are zeros. So when we compare the ones place, we see they're even. Compare the tenths place, they're the same. So then the hundredths place is going to tell us that 0.3 is less than 1/3. Okay, so it's like comparing 30 cents to 33 cents. All right, moving on. Letter B. So we're going to compare these two decimals. So we're going to line up the decimals. So I'll leave the first one alone. I'm not going to rewrite it. So the second one I'm going to write underneath the first one. I'm going to line up the digits, not the digits, excuse me, not the digits. You line up the decimals. All right, so the first one has more digits. So if I want to make the same number of digits on the second number, I'm just going to add zeros. So now we compare the ones place. Now we compare the tenths place. The hundredths place tells us that the first number is less than the second number because 0 hundredths is less than 1 hundredths. And then letter C, we can turn 5/8 into a decimal. So in my calculator, I'm dividing 5 by 8. So I got 0.625, 625. So then if I lined up my decimals, 625, and the second one is 0.62. If I want one more digit, I'm going to add a 0. So the tenths place are the same. The hundredths place are the same. So the number that tells us which is smaller is in the thousandths place. So 0 thousandths is less than 5 thousandths. So in letter C, 5/8 is greater than 62 hundredths. All right, so here we have applications, which means word problems. Ooh. So let's look at example 15. In preparation for mailing a package, you place the item on your digital scale and obtain the following readings: 6 51 hundredths ounces, 6 52 hundredths ounces, and 6 6/10 ounces. What is the average of these weights? Round to the nearest hundredth of an ounce. So how do we find average? Average means the mean, same thing. So basically we're going to add up these numbers and divide by 3 because there are 3 digits. So we're going to line up our decimals when we add. When you add, you line up your decimals. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 5 and 5 is 10, plus 6 is 16. Bring your decimal straight down. I have 3 6s, which is 18, plus 1 is 19. So 19.63 is the total weight, and then I'm going to divide by 3 because we have 3 packages, or 3 whatever it is. Yeah, package. Anyway, or that's what is in the package. So then we're going to divide. So 3 goes into 19 6 times. I'm going to bring my decimal straight up. So 6 times 3 is 18. Oop, I meant to bring the decimal straight up. And then I subtract and I get 1, bring down the 6. 3 goes into 16 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. I subtract, bring down the 3. 3 will go into 13 4 times with 1 left over. Ooh, they got messy. I can bring down as many zeros as I want. 3 goes into 10 3 times. But I can stop right there because it tells me to round to the nearest hundredths. Well, if I want to round to the nearest hundredths, I have to see what's in the thousandths place. So 4 is in the hundredths place, so that 3 is going to tell me what to do with my 4. Does it stay a 4 or do we turn it into a 5? Well, 3 is between 0 and 4, so that means my digit 4 doesn't change. So the answer is 6 54 hundredths ounces. That is the average weight. And if I wanted to write that in a sentence, I would say the average of these weights is 6.54 ounces. All right, so now it says for you guys to try. So I want you guys to try to write all these numbers in the same format. So since most of them are decimals, I would write 3/5, that's a decimal. And then go ahead and try number 17 as well. After ordering these from least to greatest and figuring out number 17, you're going to jump back on here. Oh, and also, if you look at the next page, there's more ordering problems. So I want you guys to try both of those pages on your own, both of those slides on your own. So pause and then come back and check your answers, please. All right, so let's see how you guys did, if you got the right answer. So if we're going to line up all these decimals, we need a little bit of room. So the first one is 3.555. The second one is 3.055. Then we have 3.55. We'll add a decimal. We'll add another digit, which will be 0. So 3 3/5. So I know that 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. So the next one is 3.600, and I'm going to write this above it, 3.6. Then we have 3.5. So if we want to add digits, we can add zeros. And then finally, the last one is 3.05, and I'm going to add a 0. So our very smallest one. So let's see, let's compare the ones place. They're all the same. So now we're going to compare the tenths place. Well, I have 2 that has zeros in the tenths place. So now I'm looking at just this one and this one. So since the tenths place is the same, we're going to go to the hundredths place. Those are also the same. So finally, the thousandths place, I'm comparing a 5 and a 0. Well, 0 is the smallest. So this is our smallest number. So I'm going to go ahead and write these in order as we go. So I'm done with this one, which means that the second number right here is the second in line. So that's second place. Now we're going to figure out our third one. So let's go back to our tenths place. We have 1, 2, 3 that have a 5. So obviously our fraction, our mixed number, is our biggest number. So we already know that, because 3.6 is going to be bigger than 3.5, and that's what the rest of them start with. All right, so I'm looking at the 3.5, so I have 3.55, 3.55, and this one says 3.50. So this one is going to be in third place. 3.50 is smaller than 3.55. So that one is this one, 3.5. Now we're comparing our thousandths place. So this one has 5 thousandths, and this one has 0 thousandths. So 0 thousandths is going to be less than 5 thousandths. So that would be this number. So 3.55, which means the top one goes next, 3.555. And then we finally made it to our biggest number, 3 3/5, which is 3.6. So if you notice, even though this one has almost the least number of digits, these two match, This one's actually the biggest because it's not about how many digits they have. It's about place value. For decimals, it's about place value. All right, number 17, Rowley went to Target with $40 in his wallet. He bought items that totaled blah, 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 blah. If the tax comes to $2.26, how much of his $40 would he have left over? So we're going to add up all the prices. We would add all prices and tax. Because we got to pay tax. So I'm just going to do that with my calculator. I'm going to add 1.45 plus 2.15 plus 7.34 plus 14.22, and then our tax comes to $2.26. So we spent a total of $27.42. Hope you got the same thing. My eyes are watering. Whew. I hope you got the same number. But then it asks, what would we have left over? So if he had $40, what would he have left over? That's a subtraction problem, right? So we're going to subtract how much he spent from how much he started with. So I'm going to start at the end. So I can't take 2 from 0. So I have to change this to a 10. When I change that to a 10, this becomes a 9. Oh my goodness, that's a 9, and this one's a 9 as well. And then this is going to be a 3. All right, so 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 4 is 5, 9 minus 7 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 12, or 1. So $12.58. So did you guys get the same thing? I hope you did. All right, so let's go and practice a few more comparing and ordering. So letter A, hopefully you guys lined up your decimals. If you lined up your decimals, you would find that 0.01 is the smallest. 0.1 is in second place, and 0.11 is the biggest number. Letter B, $2.03 versus $2.30 versus $2.33. So when it's like money, I know about money. So I always, if I can turn math into money, then I'm like, okay, I understand that. So this is the smallest. $2.30 is next, and the biggest is $2.33. So letter C, 1/2 as a decimal would be 0.5. So that's like 50 cents. This is like 50 cents and 1/1000. And this is 5 cents. So I would rather have 50 cents, not 5 cents. So 5 cents is the smallest. This one's a tiny bit smaller than this number. So this would be like 50 cents. The first one is like 50 cents, and then this one's a tiny bit over 50 cents. So that's the order. Letter D, 1/2 is 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5. 1/2 is 0.5. 1/3 is 0.333. I'm going to go ahead and line up my decimals, and then 1/4, 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So think of it as money. What's the least amount of money? Well, the least amount of money is 25 cents.